So this reading from the Gospel of Luke is the traditional start of the Advent season. It belongs to apocalyptic literature, the end of the world, with also some roots in the idea of the eschaton, the end of all things, all time. December 21st. 4 days before we celebrate the birth of the Christ child will also mark the darkest day of the year. In the northern hemisphere, the light will seem to be almost gone. We here will be dark for about 16 hours of the day. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, my uncle will see only 3.5 hours of light. Most people I know have a rough go of it this time of year. Even if you did not raise your hand with as much honesty as Kai and Rowan did about their grumps yesterday, I know all kinds of people who suffer from something diagnosable, seasonal affectiveness disorder, or we have other words for it. We just say, winter's hard. I have the winter blues, or yesterday I was in a mood. Yes? Oh, Suzanne is saying yes. Good. Hopefully I didn't interact with you yesterday the way I interacted with my husband. Because I had a rough day. And I kept trying to pull myself out of it. You recognize that feeling in yourself as well? It is hard for us to be in the dark. I think that's always been true in one way or another. That's why Edison invented the light bulb, right? We've always been looking to find a way out. In the pre-scientific age, the ancient world organized life around the natural world, though, right? With no light bulbs or glowing fire sticks to make light. People worked when it was light and rested when it was dark. Humanity was keenly aware of their deep interconnection with the rhythm of the natural world. And sometimes I think we all need a little bit of, I'm looking at Anamika, it's Huga, right?
Oh, Higa. That's...
It's Higa? Higa. You know what Higa is? Some of you do. Security. It's like, it's coziness. It's some kind of, is it Dutch?
No.
What is it? It's Finnish? It's Danish? Who knows what it is? Anyway, I read a book that said it's about lighting candles in your house and taking naps and having cozy pillows and blankets and staying inside when it's dark and inviting your friends over for a lovely glass of wine and enjoying the gifts of the darkness, enjoying the gifts of coziness when the world sort of wraps us in this blanket. So I've been trying to think of winter as Higa. Wikipedia is wrong for telling me to pronounce it a different way. For most of us, though, this experiment would be fairly new to us because the darkness of December is either disconcerting or it's an intrusive distraction. Meanwhile, the Christian church has lost its attention to the orthodox sense of Advent, which is derived from the imagery of the natural world making its way toward winter solstice. The ancestors of the Christian church, we're talking Western world, Northern Hemisphere, read the ebbing of light and heat and vegetable life each year as a foreshadowing of the time when life as we know it will end completely. That it will end is the rock bottom truth we all know in our primal bones. The scripture for the beginning of Advent points us toward the eschaton, the end. And this is actually Christian tradition at its best, moving in step with creation. Orthodoxy asks us to follow the movement of the earth, not to light too many candles or bury our fear in eggnog and holiday parties, but to remember that this is a season of paradox. When the sun's light and heat wane, the natural world and its creatures let lushness fall away. It dissolves like the turtle. It strips down. All energy is redirected to the essentials that will ensure survival. And so we too are invited to engage the season's stripping practices, to tune into ancient and essential rhythms. And so truly Advent is about the end. When light and life are fading without our asking, making plain how little of life we actually control, even with our electricity. This is a season to lean into the darkness, to ask the questions that we too easily bury under cheap hope or optimism. In antiquity, the church leaned into the last things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. Cheery, right? You're all coming back next week. Because Advent is not just about hope. It's not even primarily about hope. It is about waiting for the end. The end that, as it turns out in the Christian story, is actually a mysterious beginning. So I wonder what your soul knows beneath its fear of the dark. Even if your brain has mastered pushing that wondering away, your body hasn't. This is a season of primal fear, the season of survival. Our lizard brains are hardwired to ask the question, what if this is it? What if this is the end? And so what if? The whole world is waiting, holding its breath to see what happens. And we who carry the story know the light is coming. It hasn't abandoned us. The dark is not an end, but a door into a new year and a new beginning. Advent has always been about tangling with the mystery of a new beginning out of what looks like death. Make of yourself a light, the Buddha said. There is nowhere else it is coming from now. Not in the dark of winter. You and I must go into the dark, strip ourselves bare, look the end squarely in the eyes, and make of ourselves a light. To our ancestors and our abiding fear of the end, the church speaks of an adventus, a coming, a way through. You have to be awake, though, to see it. This path will not dull or deaden the fear or sadness or loss that is a part of what it means to be human. But it is a way to engage it. And this is our faith. This is our story. A way to be in the world. But we, the sleepers, must wake from whatever half-life we've been living. Awake, O sleepers. Welcome to the season of Advent.